wanted to thank you for joining me on this episode of Doing Insurance Right. My name is Scott Jenkins, your host. I'm a local farmers agency owner here in Ahwatukee, Arizona, in the Phoenix area. And today I just wanted to go over another misconceptions with the life insurance. And the biggest one is, can I have multiple policies? Yes, you can have multiple policies. And in fact, a lot of times it's absolutely necessary to have multiple policies. A lot of times when we're in our younger years, we'd like to build cash value with our policy. So therefore we want some sort of whole policy or, a universal life policy that's going to build quite a bit of cash value as we go along with the death benefit. But what if something happens to us if we're young? What if we're in a car accident? What happens if we are, get some rare disease or something to that effect? I mean, it's offhand, not a lot of, not highly, but what happens if, I'm young, let's say I'm in my late 20s, early 30s, or even before that, and I have, wife, maybe one kid, two kids at home, I understand I have a couple $100,000 in my whole account because that's what I could afford for a death benefit. But is a couple $100,000 going to get my family through what it needs? The question is, if something happens, the answer to that question is no. I mean, unfortunately not. If you're somebody that makes six figures, $200,000 is not going to last. Not when we're looking for 10 to 12 times the amount at a minimum for just income replacement alone. So in that retrospect, we'd probably want to sit down and we want to look at what's a short term, like a 10-year term policy. It's going to be the least expensive, where I can add the most amount of death benefit for the next 10 years. That way I have coverage in case something happens to me that my family can survive on. So that's going to be an example where you have two policies, and not to say that you can't have others as well. A lot of people will be like, okay, I opened up this policy, way back when, and now I want another universal life policy because it adds to my overall, net worth portfolio as well. When we're figuring out net worth, your cash value in your life policies also does count. It's an investment account. That's what a whole policy does. Besides the death benefit, it's an investment account. A lot of times it's a forced investment account because it forces you to put that much money in it. But it is an investment account. So therefore, you might have a couple of universal life policies. One that we opened, let's say 5 years ago, we've already hit the max before taxes that we can contribute per year, and we want to contribute more. Well, we can write another universal life policy at that point, just to add to it. So there's people that have 20 life policies altogether. So don't think just because you have one life policy that means you're stuck. That's not the case. We can we can do things to work around that. So just keep that in mind when you're talking, when it comes to life insurance, that you're not limited to just one policy. If so, most everybody, would have a very low limit, and that's not what they're after. They're after everybody being insured, especially with farmers. Obviously, and this was every company, the more people that have life insurance, the better off the company is going to be. It can control the times where something tragic happens. So it's not such a substantial loss to the company. And not only that, it's better for you because there are obviously more people, the more money that they have, the more that they can pay out, right? So good one there. That's basically a short snippet of what I wanted to kind of go through. But you can have a mixture as well. So this is kind of the other thing. You can have a mixture of term and what they call perm or permanent. So you can have both. You can have multiple, maybe you need another term policy. Yours hasn't expired yet. You want to write another one for, let's say, another 10 years because we're financially not at where we want to be quite yet. So we'll go ahead and do that. You can also have multiple whole policies or universal life policies or index universal life policies or any of those, because you can build wealth with those as well. So just something to keep in mind for you when you're looking at life insurance, like I mentioned before. I did want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Doing Insurance Right. As always, if you could rate, review, or subscribe to whatever platform you're listening on, whether it be Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, Google, or any of those other wonderful platforms out there. I do appreciate it and look forward to seeing you in the next episode.